Hello everyone, this is Lori from Grammy's Keepsakes, and I've been asked if I would show you again how I cover books and how I make my covers so smooth. And so I was covering a couple of books and I thought, oh, I remember that comment, and let me turn on the camera and show you. So I did this one already, and this is a wallpaper on a gutted book, and this is a border wallpaper that I received as a Happy Mail from Suzanne. Thank you, Suzanne. It's beautiful, and I've been waiting for the perfect project to use it. And I think what I'm going to do is make it into a heritage journal, because we have the old world, and I know my relatives came from Norway and into Minnesota, and then we just kind of dispersed around, but it shows the general idea of an old vintage heritage type cover. So that's what I want to do with that. And this one is a piece of wallpaper that I took out of my sample book that I was covering to make a journal for a swap. So I got my book all gutted. It's ready to go. And let me show you what I do. I use my tacky glue, and I use that ratio of 3 parts glue to 2 parts water, and I stir it up really good, and I keep it in this old baby food jar. And I just use a brush and apply it. So, and what I like to do is one cover at a time so that the glue doesn't dry and it's got time to set. So I've got it placed on my wallpaper where I want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and just flip it over, and hopefully my brush hasn't dried out too much, and dip it in and just go ahead and paint glue all over. Now, if you don't have tacky glue, you can use school glue or Elmer's glue, a white glue, or even Mod Podge. But depending on how thick it is or the viscosity, if you want to thin it down, because I want it brushed on and I don't want a lot of ridges. That's why I don't use a Fabri-Tac or 3-in-1 glue for this, because that will have ridges because it dries so quickly. And this has more of a drying window in it. So I just paint the whole thing. And it's got kind of a cloth cover, so the glue seeps in. So I just kind of add a little bit extra. Now we're going to flip it over and place it on my cover. I'm going to turn it around, making sure I'm square. Press. Flip it over and just press it. And I use the same procedure if I'm making fabric book cloth. And another way to get your covers so nice and smooth that I have done also is putting fusible web on the actual, like the wallpaper. Probably not so much the wallpaper because I don't know how heat will affect it, but definitely with fabric, and you make that into book cloth. And I make my fabric book cloth by adhering the heat and bond or whatever double-sided fusible web you want to use to the fabric and follow the directions on the packaging. And then I take off the other paper backing and I fuse tissue paper. And I like to use white tissue paper for it. If you used colored or printed tissue paper, it's possible that it would bleed through or shadow through onto the front side of the fabric. And I wouldn't want that to happen. But then to apply the book cloth after it's made to my book covers, I use this glue method again. Or you can use double-sided adhesive like score tape. I use that also. That works really good with my wallpaper. But there's a lot of different ways. But you may not have score tape, and it is an expensive tool. And I know that right now we're trying to use what we have, because we don't want to be running out to the store, that's for sure, if the stores are even open. I know in Michigan they've been closed now for quite a long time. And so it's online or nothing. Or use what you have. And that is the safest way to go too, isn't it? But so I'm just pressing everything down. And my spine. And then I like to use my Teflon bone folder because it does not leave marks. If you used a regular bone fold, they may, they're plastic. This one is wood, and this one looks like bone, but it is plastic. But they could leave marks on your wallpaper, so I use the Teflon. And I just want to get it nice and snug against my book board covers. And now I'm going to turn it around. Excuse me. I still have that frog in my throat. I don't know if it'll ever go away. But I have this miter corner that I got from colorwayarts.com. Colorway Arts is on Etsy also. And I've got two different ones. This one was her original, and now she's come up with an updated. And if I'll try to remember to leave the link in the description box for you. So you just place the corner of the book inside the little angle and then just cut. and she does really fast shipping, and her prices are very reasonable. Okay, and then I usually like to trim my extra off to about 3/4 of an inch, so I don't have too much excess coming over. So I'm just going to go ahead and try to make those cuts. Try to stay in frame. And I'm using an X-Acto knife. You can use your rotary cutter or other type of cutter, utility knife, or draw a pencil line and use your scissors. And get rid of my extras. Okay, and I like to train the wallpaper a little bit so that it knows where I want it to go. Now I'm going to use some Fabri-Tac or 3-in-1 glue. Because of its quick grab and it dries right away. So I'm just I use circles, and go ahead and get the edge of the book. And I bring it up in the middle first and then walk it to the edges. And press it down firmly. And I want to do the other long edge. I do both long edges before I do the sides. And in the middle first. And walk it down. And some of my Fabri-Tac oozed out, so I'm just rubbing it away. Okay, now we're going to do our short side. And I bring in both of those corners. Trying to make it so you can kind of see what I'm doing. I bring it in. And then the Fabri-Tac. And I want to get in that little corner underneath my fold and make my circles and get underneath that other one and come along that edge. Now, making sure that I have my corners in, and the wallpaper grabs a lot quicker than the fabric does. And then bring it over into the center and then walk it down. And then you have a mitered corner that turns out pretty decent 99% of the time. I love that little miter tool, that's for sure. Okay, we want to take your bone folder and bring this over you're closing it down in that corner. That's what we're doing. We're wrapping that corner. And over here on this side, see if we just folded it over, see we would have a point and we'd have it'd be messy. And with that red cover, I definitely want it covered. So we're bringing it over so that it wraps. And now we're going to grab the glue and get underneath that fold. Make my circles across. I'm a creature of habit. And then underneath that other one and across the edge. So stick our corners back down into the glue and bring our book cover over in the center and then walking it down. Same thing on this side, in the center, and walk it down. And then we have nice mitering at all of our corners. So this is going to be the cover. I don't know which way I'm going to have it go yet, if I like it this way or this way, but I'll figure that out when I'm making the journal. So that's this one. Now I do have a different type of wallpaper, and you can see it's very textured, and I'll show you how I do that on this one. And first thing, remove the label. And here I have a book that will work for this. Before I cover it, though, let me finish trimming that excess off. All right, lost my bone folder. Here we go. Okay, this will work. Okay, so I need to determine where on my pattern I want this to be. Having that design centered looks like a good idea. Let's play a little bit. Yeah, I like it centered better. So that's what I'll aim for. So what I want to do is trim this off so that I get it lined up nice. And I'm going to leave it an inch. So I've got some leeway to play with. Okay, let's double check. And I'm going to take that inch and give me a pencil line. So now I have something concrete to measure up against. So let's go ahead and apply glue. Looks like the cover of this book is a little ratty, but that's okay. We're going to cover it up. And I'm using my pencil line and try to center it between the top and bottom. And press it down. This relief pattern, this is fun to play with your distress ink pads too, and color the patterns. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and flip it over. And let's get the spine. and roll it over, making sure I don't have any lint or anything. I don't want anything to make a bump. Okay, and let's get this cover. Okay, and roll it over. And in that spine, I don't want to push down the relief, but I need to get it against that book board. So I'm trying to be gentle but firm. Okay, and I see a little something in it, so I'm going to grab a little piece of score tape and get a little bit of reinforcement in there. And pull off the backing. Okay, there we go, perfect. Okay, let's get our little miter tool again and my knife. Still need my knife, don't I? So because this has so much texture, I do want the minimum to bring over so it doesn't interfere with my end paper. So I'm measuring at the 3/4 of an inch. And my top and bottom are good. So now we're going to go ahead with, well, no, I'm not going to use I was going to use the brush glue. No, I'm not. Let's use the Fabri-Tac on because we need this to stick. And training my edges again. And let's take a look at that corner. And can we do any repair on that before we cover it up? And I'm just holding it for a minute until it grabs. Let's go ahead and do this side while it's still thinking about it. Okay, and get my edge. And this wallpaper with the texture is thicker and more stubborn. So the Fabri-Tac or 3-in-1 glue is a really good idea with this one. Or score tape is excellent with this one also. Okay, that corner looks good now. So let's go ahead and cover it up. If the corners of your book are really bad, you can always put metal book corners on to protect them. And metal book corners are a nice look anyway, even if the corners are good. They look nice. They have so many different designs. Get that to stick. Rub away that excess glue. It's stuck nice and good. Okay, now let's work on our corners. And again, we're going to go with the bone folder and press it in. and in with the glue. Into that corner and along the edge. Let's make sure our corners are stuck. Okay, bring down the center and walk it down. And the same thing with this side. Okay, rub away my glue. And pretty soon we won't be able to tell it was an orange book cover at all. And get those corners in. And double checking. Glue. And get my corners stuck. And bring in the center. And to each side. That the relief wallpaper likes to give me a hard time. But it's so pretty. And it makes such nice covers. And I was going to mention, if you ever see me make a cover that you're interested in just the cover, give me an email or shoot me a message in my Etsy shop. Or if you want me to make you a cover of something that I may have, let me know. Because I have no problem selling my just a cover for you to make the journal completely your own. Okay, it's looking good. And here we have our cover. And with the relief, I like to go in on the pattern where it's flat and press it in to make sure that it's adhered to the glue. It's just something in the details. here we have a relief cover all ready to go. So we've got the white one and the purple one and my map. And if you have any questions or comments, just let me know, and I will put a link into Claudia's shop for the little tools. If I can grab them. They'll be in the description box. And thank you very much for watching, and have a creative day.